Hi. Okay, I forgot to say who I was last time. I guess I'm Jonas, innovator and entrepreneur, but also in this case, Petra. Thanks for the presentation. A member of the city planning board in Malmö, actually. And to be frank, I think architecture for a long time now has been kind of stuck in a functionalistic kind of mode with boxes and rectangles. And to be fair to the architects, I guess that's mostly because we want to build cheap buildings, and construction-wise, that becomes boxes. But I, of course, will really happy to see what you're talking about here. And my two questions are actually: one, do you think AI can be kind of a liberating force for construction to be more organic and natural? And two, what's the time perspective?
I think the 90 degrees angles and the sort of very linear and flat buildings that we are seeing is, as you mentioned, it's very much out of the way we produce buildings. It's coming from the industrialized sort of industrialization and the sort of how can we make things in an efficient way. We are changing those technologies of how we produce buildings through robotic technologies and 3D printing being one, but also other robotic processes. And of course, those also changes what is feasible, what's doable, what's cheap, and what's expensive. And we need to reconsider, I think. We go to flat, smooth, and straight by sort of default, but as we see new technologies coming in, the default might become something different.
And when?
And when? Yes. Oh, sorry. Second question. Well, Henrik, my colleague here, is working on a project where we're building with a robot in Lund this summer. Something small, but we are building with a robot, and so I think it's coming now. I think we also see a trend, and it's very much maybe Swedish focus. I don't know if it's global or so, but people are asking for that we should look back in history and do buildings like they used to look like. It sort of concerns me because I don't think that making pastiche of old is going forward. But I think maybe they are looking for a higher detailing level, and they are looking for another relationship to materiality, and they are looking for something that feels more genuine and true and more crafts-based. And that we can do with a new expression, with new digital technologies.
So I'm wondering if, again, we're merging your two conversations via the politicians, our representative for planning the city, all of us, I suppose. And so how can, your ideas of the seniors be funneled to some sort of decision-making process at sort of a democratic foundation, and then like via Jonas be brought back to architects and to have sort of a better built environment with the help of seniors?
Big question. I think kind of for architecture, I don't know so much about how the industry works, but I think what I am seeing is that on platforms like Instagram, using AI, people are sharing a lot of very natural looking environments and homes that are being created, and there's a lot of organic shapes in there. And so I think from that perspective, there's kind of this thing of, if it in the population, if that's kind of the images that we're creating and that we're showing and that people are also really resonating with, then I think also there can be kind of a point where it tips and you then say, okay, now we kind of need to integrate it into what we're building because this is what people are really wanting. So yeah, that's just one observation. In terms of how to actually do it, it's difficult because also in my experiences with within these Web3 communities, when we were experimenting with ways of kind of everybody in the group being able to vote and have a say, it makes the process take a long time, and sometimes also there's smaller decisions, that it would be easier to just kind of, in this case, do in a group chat or something, and instead you say like, oh no, but we made this process, so we need to vote on it again. So I think in that way, I also haven't figured out yet what the best mix is between where you get everybody involved and where you just get some people involved. And I think that was also kind of in the foresight cycles when we had lots of different perspectives that we're discussing. It's kind of always this difficulty you have of like how much information do you bring into each process, what comes to the next level, because obviously eventually you need to synthesize again, but then you're also losing a lot of information and opinions in that level. So yeah, for me it's an ongoing process and kind of a question that I pose a lot, because I do believe that this way of working as a group can generate really great results and kind of leaps forward in the way that we work, but the actual logistics of it is still in the groups that I've been in, it's still very much that there's been some successes and then also some things where we say, oh, now we understand why organizations function in a certain way and why they do have hierarchies and stuff, because sometimes it's not the best to have everybody in the process, also if people don't even know about the topic at all, and then just in it just to have a say. So yeah, that's if anyone else has opinions as well, open to that as well.
I think we have time for at least one more question, yeah? Second row, Pernilla, the lovely colleague of mine.
Thank you. Hi, is it working? My name is Charlotte. I'm working with creativity and innovation. I think my question is mostly for you. And maybe this sounds a bit crazy. Maybe we're more making science fiction now. But I just remember you had a point saying that AI as an assistant to humans. But could we imagine that it would actually switch around? So it would be humans that would be assisting AI. And also because you talk a lot about communities, could we imagine that actually if AI is generating itself, could it actually be in charge of these communities or create people that would be in these communities? Would there actually be something to watch out for as well in this?
Yeah, I think all those scenarios are definitely possible. I think that's also where, for us as humans, it gets a bit scary, because that's kind of, it gets uncanny in that zone when you think of maybe not being in control anymore. But within groups, I definitely foresee AI and also other tools that we maybe don't even know about yet that are kind of coming up right now, them being in the process. And also something I didn't mention so much, but I think is also really important, is kind of natural intelligences or kind of just other organisms and stuff, and bringing in all of that knowledge. So I very much foresee that in the future groups hopefully will be a lot more diverse and kind of also integrating these different ways of knowing, because I think humans, we very much, it varies across cultures and times, but we very much do have that we establish, okay, this is how things work in this little domain, and this is how we do things, and these are the hierarchies, and then often people just go into that and they don't really question it anymore. And so my hope is that, if we open things up more, that we can start rethinking and really seeing things in a new way. But I think the question is more of, will humans want to let that happen, and also what if we do allow that to happen, but then kind of AI have their maybe an own genius that's just the AI, and maybe that's also working a lot faster than we are and doing its own stuff. But then what happens if the AI wants to make certain decisions that they say, like, for the world this is the most efficient, and humans say, okay, no, but that's not how we want to live. So I think there's a lot of interesting moral and ethical questions in this as well. But I can see some positives that can come out of it as well that are really interesting.
Sorel Saab, Petra Jenning. Thank you so much. Thank you.